ladies and gentlemen, I am privileged to be hosting Juliet, and I know her second name is something that most of you will have a problem pronouncing, but you're gonna do that better than I do. So we'll allow her to introduce herself, and let's try and see if you're able once again to get Julie on the line. Julie,
I'm Julliet Makhapila,
we can
and
hear you.
great to be here tonight. Thank you so much to the work that you're doing at Court FM, and of course, I'm following you, and just to hear you and the work that you do, to empower the lives of Kenyans to
Mm.
live in dignity. I love that about your program. So I'm happy to be here. And thanks for asking for me to come to your show as well. So, yes, I greetings to everybody. I can see some of my followers are coming onto the show, and to introduce myself, yes, I want to just say I love, and I love to promote gratitude and love to promote abundance. And I think that is something special that we should all be doing. So um, I don't know if,
That is
and
quite
I
quite in
sit and
order.
have many hats on.
Yes, and
I think I sent you my intro, so I was expecting you to read my intro. So hopefully that is better. But if you want me to carry on, then I can carry on and
no, no,
just speak a little
actually,
bit about.
we are very happy to have you, Juliet. And most of the time we don't
Mhm,
overdo our guests' profile because they are in a better place to tell
mhm.
us more about themselves. And that's why
Yes,
we'll maybe as we try to continue
yes,
with this talk, we'll be able to allow you to
yes.
really expound on what you do and why you did. But let's get something started here. And for those of you who are also on X, later on we'll be able to bring you on the call. So feel free to join in, and the hashtag is the bigger picture. Now, I am looking at
Mhm,
some of the work you've been involved in, Julie, and that's very fast. You have, at one point,
mhm.
vied for the highest political office in the land, Kenya, as the first diaspora Kenyan to do that. And number two, as a woman. What was that all
Thank
about,
you.
Julie? What were you trying just to try and test the waters? Or simply put, you are showing it is possible to do anything as long as you fix your eyes on them?
Absolutely. And I believe that, um, I know that earlier on you said that it's taken me 15 years. Actually, let me just go slightly back with that as you were explaining that. And, um, you know, the journey or the footsteps to that journey. So as a young girl, I've always felt that we need good leadership and good governance, not just in Kenya, but across Africa. And that is something that I believe that we need early. So for me, the dream for being president I didn't just wake up. And I think that's what you're talking about. How long did it take me to think that I wanted to take those footsteps to lead the country? And so, of course, within my heart, within my soul, within, thinking about how the country was, how the economy was, how the welfare of our people is in Kenya,
Mm.
that drove me because I had to pause. One day I was actually looking at the windows and I posed that question to myself. And I said, we keep actually saying every single day that, oh, we need good leadership.
Mm.
And then I was looking in that question and I thought to myself, but who amongst us? So sometimes we say we need good leadership, but actually, what we are saying about that
Yeah.
is we are literally not also allowing ourselves to think through
Yeah.
the process of to think through who can be that leader.
Yeah.
And so it is through that. And as I was looking at that window
Yeah.
in my bedroom, and I thought, actually, and why not me? What stops me from this big dream?
Yeah.
And it's a bigger dream. And my sister always says to me, actually, thanks to her, she always says to me, your dream has to be bigger than you can imagine.
Mm.
And so that's thinking about that, I'm thinking I'm a person who loves challenges. I'm a
Yeah.
person who loves to be brave. And as you can see, I'm a person who is very busy and loves to enjoy and live my life like a normal person every day. So it is through those challenges, normal day-to-day challenges, that I looked at the issues, the very issues
Mm.
of daily people, economic. Is what do our mamas, what do the mamas, akina mama need,
Mm.
what do the youths need, what do the persons with disability or marginalized, underrepresented communities need, what do I need as a person, what do you need as a person,
And,
the everyday one.
and
Yeah.
that's very right, Julie, because every day we discuss,
Mhm.
it's all about once you
Mhm.
providing leadership, you are trying to create
Yeah.
a difference. And for me, that is very well in order
Mm.
because with the work you've been doing with the Kenyan citizens across the globe, you've been able to make sure that this comes to fruition. Why is it that once we go to the ballot, things are promising, but after the ballot, things seem to be falling apart? From your perspective as a
Mm.
woman leader and also having worked as a change maker in your different grassroots organizations, what exactly should be our concern, especially as Kenyans gear up for the 2027 elections?
So, so first time on the ballot paper in Kenya, not ballot paper, standing in Kenya, but I didn't. We was 18 candidates. The ones from a different political party. I think I sent you that for you to see. We were 18 candidates.
Correct.
So, and within that 18 candidates, we also had independent candidates.
Yeah.
And if I can't remember the exact figure of the independent candidates. And let me tell you, what is really special
Mm.
in Kenya, this was the highest for the first time in Kenya, watu walijitokeza. To me, that is interesting
Yeah.
because I feel that people are looking for change,
Yeah.
and that is special. So for me, that is something I want to say to Kenyans. Never, we should continue
Yeah.
and we should strive to come forward, whether you're coming as independent, whether you're coming through a political party. In my case, I was blessed enough and nominated through the political party,
Mm.
as you can see, of RP. So
Mm.
I'm delighted and to say thank you. And as you can see, I also was the first person who chose a youth, as I always say,
Mm.
to go for the vice president within the space or that 2022 elections. So I want to thank the youths for also suggesting that particular youth.
Mm.
So I want to thank the political party because in my case, I asked the political party to choose a youth, and it was interesting to see how they choose the person for me. And initially, I was thinking maybe to select a woman,
Mm.
so it would have been maybe two women. But then I thought, I'll play politics because it was politics. So guess what? I decided to leave it to the last minute because
Yeah.
I wanted to announce to Kenyans that it was a woman and a youth. And of course, I knew that I was going in to be in that ballot paper.
Yeah.
My belief was, up to today, I believe that I should have been the president of Kenya, and that is what I want to tell you, Likuyani. I believe that if there was 5 candidates in that, I should have been the president. And you're talking to the president of Kenya. If if systems are in place, because we're going to
Wait,
be talking
are you
about that today.
suggesting that the system knocked you out? Because I mean, there's a lot that happens just
Yeah.
before you become president, including the aspect of
Mhm.
marshalling up numbers, voter,
Yeah.
what I would say, voter excitement that comes with it. There is a lot of voter bribery that happens. Why do you think your candidature never matured?
So basically, at the last minute, as you know, there was just 4 candidates that were put forward. Before those 4 candidates, they were removing one by one, and I was the last one to be removed before
Mm.
they were left 4.
Mm.
So literally, so number 5. But the Kenyan Constitution stipulates that if there is a woman, that woman should be there. And hence the reason I always talk about it freely, because on that occasion, there were two women. One didn't have the numbers, but I did have the numbers required. But I was knocked out on the grounds that I didn't manage to produce photocopies or colored papers of whatever was mandated. But that was later changed. As you can imagine, there was these issues. You can read about it; it's all there.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, so
So, in your view, what exactly knocked you out beyond the technicalities? Do you think you were a strong candidate then? And what were your
absolutely.
strong aspects of your candidature?
Yes, I believe that I am a strong candidate, and otherwise I won't even be there in the first place.
Mm,
And I can tell you for sure, I didn't use any back roads.
mm,
I went in as a person. I went in as a Kenyan. I
mm,
went in there as a person that believed in better governance,
mm,
believed in good leadership, believed in the transformation of Kenya. So and my my theme on the time was Liberty Party,
mm,
people's power, liberty powers for the people. That
mm,
is what I was going on. But I also had hats. Wear your hat. Yeah. So
mm,
I love that. Wear your hat.
mm.
So I love that, and that is something that I feel that all Kenyans should have in terms of pushing their talents, pushing their skills, pushing their purpose of life.
Mm.
And yeah, so I think that's something that I call upon. And I do believe in our youth. We've got high unemployment in Kenya right now. And I feel that leadership should involve all our youths.
But but
Um,
but I
and, and,
think I
and,
am interested in the issue you're talking about, the unemployment
and
aspect, because it swiftly goes into the issue of economic and political
yeah,
development that we talk about in our country.
mhm,
When
yeah,
you annex these two, the economic prosperity and the political prosperity, because then
mm,
politicians do decide how the economy plays, why
yeah,
do you have a feeling that we are lagging
mm,
behind in terms of employment, specifically to the young generation? Because the current government has actually said it's doing its best to ensure we do
yeah.
have job opportunities for the young people. What will be your response to that?
So my response to that is I would love to see us building manufacturing companies within the country. That's number one, so that we improve accessibility to better jobs, employment in the country.
Yeah.
Now, currently, the government is pushing what you see, Kazimajo, and it's great because everybody wants an opportunity to come abroad.
Mm,
I live currently. I'm actually in London as I'm speaking to you,
mm,
and I was rushing from one job to another,
mm,
or work doing some stuff. So my point is, where would I rather be
mm.
if you were to ask me?
Yeah.
Would I rather be here or would I rather be home? And it's interesting. If I gave you my views right now and I said I would rather be back home, a lot of people would laugh because they would say, "You're joking. We want to come where you
Actually,
are."
I think you're
Well,
joking.
yes, they would think I'm joking,
I think
but
you're joking.
exactly.
Why?
Thank you. So,
Try explain to me why then you feel you need to be at home if you had that opportunity or chance to choose.
in
What is
fact,
there?
I feel that let me put it this way.
Mm,
Why is it that many diasporians are still staying abroad? It's
mm,
because of lack of employment,
yeah.
right? So if I put it in that way, maybe it might be easier. You have a lot of great talents, you have a lot of great skills, you have a lot of great initiatives,
Mm,
and so look at the work that you do. Is the space there? Is the space available for you to sort of like join the broadcasting, sort of like in
mm,
Kenya?
mm,
And I can say to you, it is tough. In everything you find there is sort of like a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of you know eh, it's about who you know, and that's not a system really, if
Mm-mm.
you see where I'm coming from. So to me, I am concerned with things like that. So let me just say, we need good accessibility for Kenyans to be able to have fruitfulness in our country, if I put it that way.
Yeah.
And that is important. um, if you look at our country today, um, for over 60 years, think about it. There are still places in Kenya that don't have water. 60 years down the line, because of some of the leadership that we've had. Okay, we're still talking about better infrastructure in certain parts of the country. Seriously.
Uh,
And I told you earlier
mm,
on that I was in the curtain, and I remember that day I was even, looking at the window, and for years. But on this one occasion, the President Uhuru was coming in London,
mm.
and on that particular day, I prayed, and this is like a testimony out there. And I remember saying to my God, 'cause that's why I believe in I believe in my God.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, God, help me to see this president today, please. And I was sitting in my bed, basically. And I tell you what, as Kenyans were busy saying the president will go to O2, I remember calling two of my friends, my photographer, and I called another friend of mine. I said, today we're going to meet the president. They said, you're joking, Juliet. I said, yes. And where God led me to, I went and sat exactly to that spot. And I had woken up in the morning, call it what you want to call it, but that is what happened. And on that
Why
day,
was it
President
important
Uhuru
for you
gave,
to meet President Uhuru, and what was
because
your agenda?
uh, the agenda was on that particular day, I wanted to feel whether it is the career that I wanted to take. Was it something, sometimes you can, it's like sometimes you say that you want to lead a country,
Mm,
but actually when you see all the commotion, you might come back
mm,
and think to yourself, maybe I've changed my mind.
mm.
Welcome to NK Home Care Services, where quality healthcare meets the comfort of your home. We offer professional nursing care, caregiver support, mental and neonatal services, physiotherapy, post-surgery care, palliative care, and ambulance services, all tailored to your needs. Our mission is to empower you or your loved ones to live with dignity and independence. With compassion, respect, and professionalism, we're here to support your journey to a better health. Visit us today at 54 Real Estate off Mombasa Road, or call us on 0768 400 800, or find us online at www.fifthgenerationaloutsourcing.com. NK Home Care Services, caring for you wherever you are.
Welcome to The Bigger Picture. It is a Monday. My name is Lukiani Eli, and we are more than happy to be conversing on matters that ordinarily will not feature on your day-to-day conversation. But because tonight it's all about the Kenyan diaspora and their connection to what happens post the ballot. Joining me on set is Julliet Makhapila, who is also a change maker, a former presidential aspirant 2022, and I'm curious to find out if she will be by any chance vying or trying her hand again in the 2027 elections, because she said she tried to pray very hard, and in her prayer they were answered because her God is a living God. There's something I'm picking out of this, and for me, it's very important to discuss about it because you're talking about accessibility, which is important for any leader and the subjects that they are, you know, should I say, ruling over, because it doesn't sound so good. However, there's the issue of you trying your best to vie as a presidential candidate. It never comes to fruition, of course, it's just a dream deferred. Today, as we speak, what has changed that you believe gives women like yourself and other hopefuls the opportunity to vie? Look at the current IBC setup. What will be your, quick analysis of how they've been able to present themselves, bearing in mind the history they have had in 2022 with the Chebukati-led commission?
That's a big question, Let me say to you that internally, I was a person who asked questions, not necessarily for myself as a candidate, but for the fact that I felt that it was important for Kenyans to all have fair, good elections. And on this occasion, I still feel there's lack of accessibility for Kenyans to go right at the highest post. The opportunity is there in terms, and opportunity and accessibility are two different things. Opportunity to put up an application form, and then you put up your application form. But when it comes to accessibility in terms of equal, you see, like for example, like equal equal accessibility in terms of people knowing who is standing, that is lacking in our systems. So the voters are usually just looking out for the people that they know, the normal ones. And that's not right for the voters to be doing that for the last 60, 70, 60 years, whatever. And so what you find is you have the same leaders governing, and nothing ever changes, because if you elect the same people, what do you expect? So it is important that voters understand that they should wait, and they should wait to see who are all the candidates. But that's not just that, because the candidates they were given there is 4 candidates. The question is, the candidates who come forward, the standing candidates who come forward, like I've said, this was the best time when so many people came forward. And what is interesting, if you look at the alliances or affiliations of how Kenya Kwanza was formed and Azimio la Umoja was formed, you can actually see political parties, all of them did not join. And I knew in my heart, because I had campaigned behind the scene. That is important for Kenyans to know. And it's not easy to campaign when you don't have all the security, the safeguarding mechanism for all candidates equally. So what am I saying to you? It's important for the IEBC to give a good accessibility to all candidates. And that is really, really something. And as you know, the former chairman um, had controversy, as I always say, in terms of his way of doing things. And that's something that I also ask our judges to look at. One of the questions, the key questions I always pose is, what should our constitution and our government do when we have bad or when the candidates are not the candidates are not being looked at with good accessibility. I think that is a question for the judges to look at, and what sanctions should be put to the returning officer and the chairperson when all the candidates are being failed. And if you look at this the last elections, and I can strongly say to you my lived experience, because I'll talk about myself, but perhaps this represents other candidates as well. If you look at their cries up till today, the independents took a case to court. Mpaka wa leo, has it been listened properly? And you will still see, I don't want to mention names, but you'll still see them calling upon those cases to be listened to. The 17 other, the 18 candidates from all different political parties. My question is, they've already been nominated by their political parties. Why is it they can't run And why do you now need another level of scrutiny or level of because to me that is where corruption starts as well. Okay, and I'll explain my views
Yeah.
in that,
Yeah.
because it's during that space that to my surprise I notice a lot of you know these like you know even okay, I won't mention names, I don't think it's right. So you notice the kind of challenges
Yeah.
that are real
Yeah.
in our community, whereby um, many of the candidates feel they should probably be bought by another party or something like that to bring in the numbers to another different political party. So my view from when I stood is that needs to change from the minute people have been nominated and stuff like that. I feel that none of that should be happening. It should, if people are to be moving political parties and all that, that needs to be looked at critically before even a candidate um, sort of like is declared um, that you are the person who is running for that um, a political party. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, so the issue of smaller parties becoming campaigning for different political parties, for me, I feel that if you were to ask me, I feel that actually all the political parties should be producing a president, and that should be mandated in terms of our constitution. And that would make, as long as they qualify in their audits or whatever, I feel that would be great for our country. And I think we would demonstrate across Africa we have good democracy in terms of really looking at the view of which candidate is really coming forward. Now, for some of you, I remember Mtembe TV, one guy asking me what budget did I have for
Yeah.
this. And it was interesting that I tried to answer that question at that time and a few other stations, because they believed that um, in every place, this is the kind of you find that in every place you go,
Yeah.
oh, utatupatia nini? That's the sentence in the street. What are you going to give us? And they're not necessarily talking about development or economic development or social welfare
Yeah.
development. What they're asking for you is to give them handouts in sense of 500 shillings, 300 shillings. So can you imagine if somebody was to come down and ask you for that kind of cash in a whole constituency? You definitely find out that the person with the highest mkono is the person that is attracting this unemployment. The issue of handouts is really coming in. And
But
let me give you a
you
great
see,
example.
maybe
Yeah.
before you just move from that, because
Mm.
there are a lot of good things you're stating about
Thank
the pre and post election pacts that happen between political parties, whereby the
you.
bigger political parties end up swallowing the smaller parties. Now, I might not really understand how your congressmen and women work or the House of Commons work, but I know across Europe, for example, we will see the most competitive parties will come up and, as again, break a deal with the second in position who have more, how you call it, elected members, and therefore go ahead and form government after a coalition of agreements. That's why we've seen delays, for example, in the Netherlands, where they are not able to come up with a government, federal government, for that reason. We've seen it in Belgium, among others. Why do you think it has to be different from Africa, for Africa and Kenya, to be specific? This is how the big boys roll.
Thank you for that question. You see, one thing I think that we should be very careful when we should take good things that we see in Africa, that we aspire, we should take the things that we see in Europe that we think can be developed in Africa, but it's not everything that we should take. So this idea that everything in the West is good, I don't necessarily agree with that personally. So I think that we are blessed as a nation. And now I'm not just talking about Kenya, I'm talking about the whole of Africa. I believe that we have every resources across Africa. And it's quite interesting that normally our resources from Africa even serves the West. So for me, I do question what is so wrong across Africa that we are not even able to necessarily look at our own people, yet we have everything. We have literally everything in all our countries. And so for me, that is important for our citizens, not just in Kenya to understand, but across Africa. And it's important that they also know that we need to look after our soil. It is important they need to understand that we need to look after our environment, our trees, our beautiful nature. We have everything. That is, to me, very, very important. And I'm traveled. I can tell you I'm traveled, despite the fact that, I don't mention it a lot, but I am traveled.
But you don't
I've
say.
been to,
But you don't say.
yes, exactly. So, so I've been even to Netherlands. Funny enough,
Yeah.
I've been to Amsterdam. So if you ask me about the politics there, I can tell you what is good there as well.
Yeah.
So when you say to me that when someone asks me about Western nations, as I call it, I always say look at India developing, or look at China developing right now. And I question myself, why is it Africa until today we are still where we are? You still go some places and you think, gosh, this is what is really happening. And besides that, and so we have to really step back a little bit and reflect, and we know the thing. And so for me, I think I sent you a flyer earlier on,
Yeah.
which I made in 2024. So I believe that corruption destroys a nation in terms of humanity, actually.